Hello, hello, everybody, and welcome to the next edition of STATURDAY Chat Live here on August 19th, 2023. It is so glad to be back. We've been away for about a month during the summer. I kind of take breaks between live streams because school is out and people are traveling and doing this and that and whatever else. But now that school is starting back, we'll probably go ahead and get back into the routine of a live stream about every 2 weeks, depending on if it's a holiday or stuff like that. I'll try to go ahead and stick to the 2 week schedule since school has started back up, which is exciting. Back to school was always an exciting time for me. I was one of those, as you might guess, one of those sort of nerdy kids that really liked going back to school each year. I was like really looking forward to August and going back to school. So, and when I was at Indiana, I would actually walk around campus when everyone was moving in and everything else. So it's a very exciting time for me for everyone to be back into school. So what does that mean for the channel? And but before I get to that, let's just take a pause here. I think maybe over the summer I've gotten some new viewers, obviously some new subscribers. So I want to set the table so everyone kind of knows how this works if you are new to the stream. So this stream is very casual. It's basically just like a conversation, a Q&A if I can answer a question or two, discussion around any current events or topics related to data science, AI, statistics, and stuff like that. I won't always know the answer to a question necessarily here live, but you are more than welcome to contact me either through LinkedIn or through my website. There's a Q&A form on my website. You can send me that message, and if I have time or I think I can contribute a quick answer, I'm more than happy to do so. Some things are more in the front of my mind than other things, but I will do my best to make sure that I can at least give you a quick question, depending on the context and what it involves, okay? So that's how the live stream works. We tend to go around 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how the conversation goes and what questions you have and what you want to talk about and things of that nature. Of course, here in a second, I'll give you some updates on the channel and what is going on and so on and so forth. Now, if you have a question or comment, I will put that up on screen for me and everyone else to see. And, I encourage conversation within the chat as well. So if someone asks a question or has a comment, please respond to them in the chat, kindly. We always do things kindly on this channel. So feel free to converse with each other. If someone's looking for a resource or a link, you can share that with them or whatever else you might, be able to contribute to the conversation. So that is sort of how everything is working. All right, so Loheth, hello. It is good to see you. Also keep in mind that I do my best to pronounce everyone's, avatar names or your actual surnames to the best of my ability. Of course, many of you are watching from outside of the US, so I'm not as familiar with your name. So if I mispronounce it, I do apologize, but I will do my best because you deserve to have your name pronounced correctly. But if I pronounce it wrong, just let me know and I'll try to correct it, okay? All right, so good to see you. Eric, it's good to see you, my friend. Thanks for stopping by the live stream. Awesome to have you here. Hello, hello, hello. Arif, good to see you. How are you? Long time no see. Yeah, I'm doing great, actually. So, not to go into the, off on a tangent, but like this morning I got up and did a almost 6-mile hike. And it was beautiful. It's a beautiful morning here in Ohio. It's a rare cool period. So it was actually kind of cold this morning. It was beautiful to go take a 6-mile hike. And then cut my grass right after that. So I've already put in I put in 17,000 steps and it's only noon. So that's been my morning, but no, it's a great morning. And it's been a great summer, kind of doing the things I want to do and trying to stay in shape and stay healthy the best that I can. Oh, I should also tell everyone, I'm not sure, if it's really relevant to people in the live stream at least, but I will be in Switzerland in October. So if you or anyone else is in Switzerland or southeastern France or whatever else, I'll be in Geneva most of the time. But of course, once you go to Switzerland, if you've ever been there, that means that you will be on a train going everywhere, taking in the scenery and everything like that, doing some hikes. So that'll be the beginning of October. So I will be in Switzerland in October. If you or anyone else is in or around that area, more than happy to grab a coffee or something like that, which in Switzerland costs $27. So I'm excited about that. It'll be up in a couple months. As far as the channel goes, I haven't posted a video in a while. That's because I've been busy with a lot of AI stuff. So that part of that is I've been spending every waking hour until I basically can't do it anymore, until I'm just so tired and my eyes can't focus, about learning everything in and around AI as possible. That's everything from taking a Python course to actually kind of learn more Python that I've just been kind of fiddling around with, to learning tools such as LangChain to interface with LLMs. I've actually been downloading LLMs to run locally on my GPU and play around with that. So I've spent basically since, when was it, March, April, when GPT-4 and stuff came out, I've just been under the fire hose of AI stuff every spare chance I get. So for the channel, I do have some content lined up. Some of it might be a little bit different than I've been doing in the past. It's so helpful, but it might be a little bit different than what I've done, because this has opened up some opportunities to help and provide some more educational content for people that frees up a bit of my time. And no, I'm not making AI created videos or anything like that, like visual videos. But there are some ways to use it to kind of streamline the process, which makes it a bit more doable in terms of a time commitment to make videos. But I have some content along those lines. Of course, I have some more time series content that I want to get out here sometime soon. I have some data mining, machine learning type videos that I have sort of planned out. So I have plenty of content planned. It's just a matter of finding the time to do it. I never run out of content ideas to do. So I don't know when those will be. It just depends on my workload at my actual day job and the other commitments and things I have to do. But, you know, my longevity on YouTube, I think, is because every once in a while I will take some breaks, either by choice or just life circumstances come up and other things just take priority for a few months. But I think that is why I've stayed at it for over 10 years, because I take these sort of natural breaks for one reason or another. So I'm not going anywhere. There will be new content. Can't always say when it'll be, but I'm looking forward to getting that out for you, okay? So, Dario says, hello. It's good to see you, my friend. Thank you for stopping by the live stream. It is very, very good to see you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, so please go ahead and put your comments, questions. Let me know where you're watching from in the chat. And let's get this conversation going. And again, I'll do my best to answer whatever questions you might have. So while I wait for some comments or questions or whatever to pop up in the chat, just want to share a few things with you. Let's see here. Where's my button? There it is. So obviously here's the channel. The best thing you can do at this time of year, if you are a supporter of this channel, is at the beginning of the academic years, the semesters, which is typically fall and spring. That's when the channel picks up. So if you or someone you know is starting, college or even high school we call here in the US, this fall, and they're looking for a resource for statistics and the stuff that I do, please share the channel with them. If you're taking a class, if you are teaching a class or whatever else, and you think the channel might be a resource for people, please share it, because that's why I do it. I don't do it for the money, the fame, the glory, because that doesn't come with it. I'm not really interested in those things. I do it to help people. And the more people are aware of it, the more people I can help. So just share it, please, if you can. So obviously that's the channel. It's a quick reminder, I do have a website here where you can find a few things if you are new to the channel in the stream. So you can find the Stats 101 playlists here on my website, and it outlines, what the playlist covers. If you hover over it, it'll also tell you how many videos are in that playlist and how long that playlist is. If you're going to do like a binge watch or a full topic or something like that, that's all here. It's a little bit easier to navigate all the playlists here because YouTube doesn't do a great job of allowing you to put some metadata around your playlists. So you can find this here, okay, on my website. It's just a tool to organize stuff. Remember, I do have the PDF companion guides for 4 of my most popular playlists. So they're not expensive. They're about 20 bucks a piece, and they're hundreds of pages. So 300, 250 pages, 360, 400, 200. They're ginormous PDF companion guides that go with those playlists. And it's a way to help support the channel, and you get something in return for helping support the channel. So I'm not exactly sure how much longer I'll offer these, because the cost of offering them, like the service where I do the payments and stuff, actually costs as much as money I make. So I'm not sure how long I'll be doing these, if it's a net negative financial thing. But you can find these here to help support the channel if you would like to. Also, some people ask if I'm doing a video and there's like a data set or Excel file or something else that goes along with that video. You can find those here. So they're all here in this list. You can kind of look through and figure out which one it is. I've labeled them basically like the title of the video. So you can find those in there. At some point, I might go back to the videos themselves and link them in, but something weird happened on my website a couple years ago, and it all broke. So I'm hesitant to do that. So you can find that here as well. And like I said before, I do have a contact page, so you can contact me through LinkedIn or through this web form, and that'll go to my email. And those are the 2 best ways to get a hold of me if you have a question or whatever else it might be. Okay? All right. So I just want to make sure everyone is aware of those resources that I have, and I'll pop up the screen if I have anything else I want to share as far as a resource goes, or any resources that you want other people to see. All right. Okay. So do you work on real-world data science projects? If yes, how can someone like me get a chance to work with you on projects? So the data science projects I work on are through my day job. So that's obviously proprietary data on the things that we work on many fronts. So like any business, we do product analytics, we do customer analytics, and both quantitative and qualitative. So that type of stuff obviously is not anything I can do with anyone outside of work, but that's where I do most of my data science work in general, is actually on a product side of the business for the lists that I work on at my company, which of course is the decision sciences. So business stat, business analytics, operations management, management science, supply chain, stuff like that. And then on the finance side, I don't do as much on the finance side, but introductory finance, investing, stuff like that. So the data science stuff I do is relative to that. It's not anything that I can really do with any sort of outside individual. And honestly, I don't have the time to do all of that stuff between my day job, YouTube. I have a second side gig. I have life, a house to maintain. So there aren't enough hours in the day for me. But that's a good idea. You know, maybe someday if I do have the time, Loth, as I kind of put together a small group of people that maybe want to work together on a project, but that obviously would be very involved. So, but it's an interesting idea. It's an interesting idea. Okay. Eric says, sir, I'm learning probability and statistics in current semester, which I absolutely love. I'm currently studying hypothesis test concerning mean, which I've learned a lot from your videos. Thank you. You are very, very welcome. I'm glad the videos are there to help you. And a lot of those have been around for a while, but I'm glad to see that they're still being watched and used. I try to make videos that are very high quality, that stand the test of time, both in terms of their teaching methodology, but of course, technically they look and sound like they weren't made 20 years ago, like through an old telephone. So I'm glad that those videos have stood the test of time and they're still helping people to this day. And yeah, so as long as they're still helping people, you know, there's no real need to redo them or anything. And of course, in traditional basic statistics, that those concepts are not, they're foundational. They're not going to like change. They are what they are. They've been that way for decades. You know, the newer stuff is where where it's hard to keep up with, right? So it's kind of evergreen content that I have. So Eric continues. Now I have 2 chapters left, which are hypothesis for proportions, yes, and regression. What book or resource would you suggest for an engineer to learn after this if I were to go for data science and all? Well, of course, I mean, Eric, I obviously have content myself on that. So um, I know I have videos on comparing proportions. So our p-bar proportion tests, and of course the regression content is somewhat what I'm known for. So the linear regression playlist, the multiple regression playlist, and the logistic regression playlists are some of my most watched content, my most in-depth content, and it's the content that's the most crossover for things like machine learning, of course, So in a machine learning context, depending on the nature of our outcome variable, whether it's continuous or most often the case a binary category. So in one case we could use traditional regression, and in the other case we could use logistic regression. That's just, and there are obviously many other algorithms that could be implemented, but those topics tend to be the entryway into more advanced machine learning type topics, as through the regression chapters. So I have content on this, and obviously I would love if you watch those if you haven't already. But any other channel, StatQuest obviously is an amazing channel. I wish I could do it full time like Josh does, but I can't. But yeah, so there's plenty of great content out there that can help you with those sorts of things. Let's see, the second question here. So I'm not an engineer. I don't know if there's anything particularly idiosyncratic about the nature of statistics and data science in the context of an engineering field, because I don't come from an engineering background. I would just assume that a lot of the foundational concepts are universal, and that those would apply in pretty much all fields that use quantitative methods of some sort. So if there are any sort of concepts or techniques that are unique to engineering, you would have to obviously go find those, because my channel is pretty much about traditional basic intro statistics for students who maybe don't come from a quantitative background, don't feel like they're as strong in math, or they put the cart before the horse and they're studying machine learning without actually have learning the stats. That's kind of the 2 ways people enter my content. But that's what I do. So anything specific to a field like engineering, or like finance, or healthcare, or something like that, if there are things that are unique to those fields, my content will serve as a basis, and you'll have to jump off and find another resource for something that's more along the line specifically to those fields. Okay. Okay. Moving right along. Awesome. Haresh, hello. Hello. I love your picture, so I'm gonna go ahead and take a swig of my smoothie. After my hikes, I got it on my nose. After my hikes, I always have a smoothie. After exercise, I have a smoothie. Delicious. All right. Okay. Keep it coming. Franco, good to see you. Hello. Thank you for all your work. You're very welcome, my friend. It really helps me a lot. Can you recommend us a place or website besides Kaggle, for example, and where we can apply what we learn with your videos? So there are, where to start with this kind of stuff? There are, well, Kaggle is an obvious one, right? But then you have other online learning platforms like a Maven or Databricks, or I think it's Databricks, right? What's the other one I'm thinking of? That have courses, kind of tied around this stuff, but they're not specifically repositories of data sets. So, I mean, Kaggle is really the, kind of the golden standard for this kind of stuff, because they have tons of well-organized data sets that explain what they are. There was a website that I found that actually extracted the base data sets from R. So they took the data sets out of R and just put them in an easily accessible website where you can download the CSV files. You can find sort of that, that sort of situation. You can, I think what I'm saying here, Franco, is that sometimes as a learner, you will have to find the application yourself for whatever concepts you're trying to learn more about. I would also add to that going out and collecting your own data for something. So whether you go collect data, you observe something, or you have access to data in your own life. And I'll give you a perfect example. So my energy company, so where I get my electricity, they have my nose itches. They got they have a tool on their website where I can download all of my energy data, like how many kilowatts I use per day, what the temperature was that day, and they can get very granular. So what I can do is actually use that data that I have access to through my utility provider, and I've done lots of analysis on my energy usage, and I've learned a ton about, when I use the most energy. If the temperature outside is whatever degrees, how much energy do I use? What days do I tend to use the most energy? What in my house uses the most energy, and how can I maybe do that in off hours? Or, how much can I save if I give you the perfect example of this. By downloading my own data and using it to do analysis, it means that I use, what was it? I think it's around, on a day I do laundry, I use about 10 more kilowatts of energy. I have to go back and look. This is a rough approximation. 10 more kilowatts of energy than I use on a typical day. So now I know how much my energy usage is to do like laundry and stuff. So there are all kinds of sources to gather data. Kaggle is obviously one of them. You might have access to your own data. I get another example. So I have a Fitbit. I've downloaded the data before from my Fitbit and done analysis on my own data for that. So there are many types of resources to find data, to do different tests and things like that on. Another place I found another ways to do tests is just in my kitchen. Yes, I have measured the weight of every M&M in a bag to do like statistical tests. There's things all around you that you can use to gather data to do some sort of analysis that's relevant to you. So I'll just be creative and find the data you want. Obviously, a lot of government websites have freely available data that you can download and experiment with and play around with. So if you find something that you're interested in, find a reliable source of free data and just follow the interest. Don't worry about where necessarily, where it's Kaggle or R or whatever else. Aim towards an interest that you have first. Then I recommend going out and finding out a question you want to ask about that interest, and then find the data for that. So I would recommend doing that because you get a bit more out of it personally, in addition to the application of these concepts. Okay. Oh, right. Harsha, hello. It's good to see you. Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for stopping by. So Franco, here's another comment. Thank you, Loth. Thank you for commenting. This is what I want out of the chat, right? Help each other. There's a platform called Data Wars. I think it might be helpful to apply your knowledge. So Data Wars. There we go. Oh, that looks cool. Let me share this to everybody. So this is the Data Wars. Blow this up here. Excellent. I'm going to check this out. So practice data science with real life projects. Excellent. So using Jupyter notebooks here. Cool. Look at that. I'm going to check this out. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think I'd heard of that before, like in passing, you know, at some point in time. But problem is, every one of these sort of things has data in the name, so so they all like blend together. But that's a pretty cool resource. So here's Data Wars. I will paste that in the chat if we're to check out. So yeah, Data Wars. That's pretty cool. So this is great, but I will also stand by what I said, which is, if you can, aim towards something that's an interest of yours first, then figure out what you want to know that's inside that interest, then find some data or a project around that interest. So you might be able to do that here in the Data Wars. So I'll check that out. But yes, I always encourage people to really stick within their interests or what they're learning in school or whatever else, because then you kind of like double and triple dip in the learning process, because not only are you learning the stats and the machine learning and stuff like that, but you're doing it within the context of something you're naturally interested in. So that's my recognition of that. All right, back to my face for radio. All right, Arco. Hello, Arco. Hope I'm saying that correctly. Good morning. Thank you for putting out this great content. You are very welcome. Can you guide me how to build the mathematical concepts behind the machine learning algorithms? So I will preface this answer with this. And maybe you are. Maybe this is sort of your field. But a lot of people ask me about the mathematics and stuff behind these machine learning algorithms and other algorithms when that's not necessarily necessary, sort of for what they're doing, right? So the first thing is to really understand why it is you want to understand some of the math behind these things. And I will admit, I'm not like a PhD mathematician. So, you know, I don't always get the ideas or the concepts behind the mathematics of some of this stuff. I'm more like an application type person. I'm a teacher, I'm not a mathematician. So first is to figure out why you want to know the mathematics. Two, to what depth and degree do you want to understand the mathematics? And then beyond that, like, what does that do that a computer doesn't for you? And to understand exactly what it is you want. So in terms of the mathematics, I only have a few resources that I could really recommend to you, because again, I don't buy deep, high-level mathematics books. If I can find them. So, oh shit. So I'm not like super mathy. Andrew's books are great, so I'm sure you've probably seen these books in the past. So if you want to understand, it's like a book. I'm like a book, and if you want to understand a bit more of the mathematical notation and stuff, so these are good places to start. They're not too crazy, big or anything like that. They're very popular, so these are good places to start. So it's not super crazy, math heavy. So that's a good place to start. And this one as well. This is a bit more of the data engineering side of things. So you won't see a whole lot of math in here, but you'll see some code samples in here. I can recommend those if you want to get more into the mathiness stuff of that. You can try something. You could try something like this. So this is a good book. If I'd assume you're working in Python. So this Machine Learning with Python for Everyone by Mark Fenner is very good. I've read this whole book. I read it like a book, and it was fantastic. So, but again, the thing is, you're not going to see a whole lot of mathematical notation in these because they let the computer do the math, which is what computers are for. But you could try, something like this is a good book. I really like that book. I mean, I read the whole damn thing, so I better have liked it. So that. Yeah. The other books like this. So this is a data mining book, business analytics book by Wiley. Actually, a lot of these individuals work at statistics.com who sponsored some videos on the channel, which is great. So these type of books are good. But again, the challenge nowadays is because almost all of these books and resources are using the software to do the math. They're not doing like 10 pages of matrix algebra or, 10 pages of partial derivatives for this kind of stuff. Obviously, Andrew, who is sort of the father of modern machine learning and stuff like that, you can find courses on Coursera. Deeplearning.ai might be a good resource for you. Yeah, so there's probably courses on Udemy and stuff like that where you can find that. So, all right. And, I guess in the ESL and ISL books, it's backwards. There's these tend to be a little bit more mathy than sort of standard book as well. So this will have the code and the math in it. So the elements of statistical learning, and this is the introduction to statistical learning. These have some mathematical notation in them, but again, it's using software. So, all right. There we go. And then you also asked, how can I increase my knowledge to explain the machine learning algos in layman's terms? Thank you for your time. The best resource for that is this one. So this Machine Learning for Everyone by Oliver Theobald is excellent for explaining this stuff in basic, simple lay terms. It's obviously for beginners, but when you're explaining this to people who aren't steeped in these topics, this is like the best resource, period. This is like one of my little Bibles. I've spoken to Oliver. He's a really nice guy. And I will say that there is a bit of self-interest in this because I am cited in this book. You know what's weird about being cited like in this sort of book like this is that I didn't even know it. And I was actually reading it. I was actually reading the book. I was reading the book, and all of a sudden, I'm in it. See it? I'm actually cited in this book. I didn't realize it until I read the book, which is really, I was like, what? Yeah, I'm cited in here. So that's being cited in this book is an honor because it's such a great book for understanding the basics of this stuff. Oliver also uses a lot of graphics, and diagrams in here with a little bit of math here and there, but so decision trees, stuff like that. Great resource. I love this book. It's excellent. Like if I were teaching a college course, for like the first semester course in machine learning, required. This book would be absolutely required for my course. All right. Okay. Woo. Let's see here. How are we doing? Oh, we're doing great. Okay. So that was a long answer, Arco, but I hope it helped. Jersey, hello. It's good to see you. Excellent. Thanks for stopping by. Put myself up here. So yeah, here was this Data Wars resource that was recommended. I'm not sure if anyone else has used this or whatever else. Looking for real life data projects. There you go. And actually, I'll put Clyde's comment up here. Clyde, it's good to see you again, my friend. What would you recommend as a fun coding project for someone to get their feet wet in machine learning and AI? Well, that's a very broad question. It depends on, you have to be more specific. Because if you're talking about like machine learning type things, you know, like I said before in this live stream, someone, I forgot who it was. Franco asked, Franco asked sort of the same question. I always recommend people to start with their interest first. Then within their interest, find something that's meaningful, that helps them learn these topics, but also helps them learn about a discipline that they're interested in. And it doesn't even have to be something you're going to school for. It could be something that you just, you know, it's piques your natural interest. So if you really want to do sort of machine learning, you know, type stuff, do you want to code it by hand in like Python scripts, or you want to use like a Jupyter notebook in Python? Do you want to use R? Do you want to use Orange? It just sort of depends, and there are all kinds of ways to do that. So, Clyde, I would first really think about an interest or a topic of interest that you'd like to apply this stuff to. Then once you've kind of honed in on that, then it's easier to find something within that topic that you can use as a project. Okay? But think of that machine learning and AI as a means to a different end, not the end in of itself. Would be my two sort of cents on that. But you might find some projects here, like on Data Wars, that you could test out. Kaggle, of course, has all kinds of projects that you can work on. You can adapt a project that you learn somewhere else. So there's many times where I've taken a course on Udemy or some other resource or YouTube channel or whatever else, and they were doing a tutorial using some data set, right? Well, all I'd have to do for a lot of them is just swap out their data set for mine. Really, it's literally just changing the CSV file. And, you know, if there's some variable names in there, I might have to change or whatever else. But a lot of these sort of tools and algorithms, you're not hard coding in necessarily, you know, column names and stuff like that. It does it automatically. So all you might have to do is swap out your data set that you're interested in for the one that is used in the tutorial, and then just run it. You know, for the AI stuff, that's a whole broad category. I mean, ML is within AI, but you know, the AI stuff I'm doing right now, the AI stuff I'm learning right now, really revolves around interacting with LLMs through APIs or locally, because I have a GPU that can run LLMs locally. Interfacing with language models through chain prompting, through LangChain, to see kind of what I can get it to do. So I'm writing a lot of Python scripts right now. I have like dozens of projects I've been working on in the language model space. But that's not all of AI, right? So that's just part of it. So when you ask Clyde, what do you recommend as a fun coding project for someone to get their feet wet in ML AI? Focus on the fun first. Then, once you find something that's fun for you, then worry about the ML AI project. So if you have an idea about a project that you're thinking about doing, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn or whatever else, and I'm more than happy to you know, spend a minute or two commenting on it. But start with something interesting and fun to you first. Then worry about the machine learning and the AI stuff, right? So thank you for your suggestions. I'll read those books. Videos have helped me a lot. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm trying to think if I have anything else that I'd recommend. Yeah, it's hard because again, I'm not heavily into the mathematics of these sorts of things, nor are a lot of the books about them because they're using Python or R or Orange or whatever else. Um, I mentioned Orange a couple times, but let me, if you're not familiar with what Orange is, I would really recommend checking it out. I might do some videos with it. So if you're sort of new to these sort of things, Orange is a data mining machine learning platform. It's a program that runs on your computer. It's for Windows, Mac, Linux, everything. And it runs on Python underneath the hood. But it's visual coding. All right. And what I mean by that is that you do workflows. If I can find a cool one looking here. Let's just do what would you all be interested in? Yeah, scatter plots, clustering. So here's a ROC curve. But see, the way this works is that it's all node-based, and there are other tools that do the same thing. But in this case here, you would load in your data, all right? And then you attach that to a test and score widget, all right? Then, once you have the test and score widget, you connect the different algorithms. So here we connect a logistic regression to that test and score. We connect a random forest classifier to that test and score. And then once we have the test and score, which is not shown in this screenshot, but that'll have your confusion matrix, on all your different measures in terms of accuracy and stuff like that. But then you can connect visuals. So here you have the ROC analysis, the ROC analysis. And then you can see your curves here, right? So, but this is all, there's no coding here. This is all done visually. And, over here, I think it's this orange or pink one, are all the other machine learning models. So in this case, since we have a binary outcome variable, there are different things we could connect to this test and score widget so long as it supports binary outcome variables, which a lot of them do, right? So we could put SVM, we could put a support vector machine, attach it to this test and score, and then it would be another line here that we could look at. So obviously here, in this case, this random forest is the orange line, and then the logistic regression is the green line. But you can have as many different ones here if you want. So if you're new to some of this stuff, and this is free, by the way, this is maintained by a university over, I think, in Slovenia. And I don't know how it works exactly, but if I had to bet how it works, I would say that this is an ongoing project within the university, and then different generations of like PhD students and master's students work on Orange as part of their graduate sort of work. I don't know that for sure, but I would guess that's kind of how it works. But it is, but it's awesome. So you can go to here, look at all the way the workflows work. I know I will do some videos on using Orange at some point here very soon. So that's Orange data mining. And it's really cool because you can load in like this massive data set and then tie them all together, and it just churns through it, and then out pops all the test and score analytics. Then you can connect all the visual stuff to it. You can slice, and you can do so much stuff with Orange without even having to code really anything. You just kind of have to know what's what inside there. So definitely check out Orange if you haven't. It's great to have on your computer just as a tool if you want to load in a data set and do sort of a quick run on it for different things. You can pre-build a workflow, and all you have to do at the beginning is swap out the data set. So you swap out the data at the beginning, and then it'll run through the entire workflow just like that. All right, so definitely check out Orange if you haven't played around with it. It is incredible. Okay, it is really incredible, and it gets better. Yeah, Slovenia. So it gets better with every iteration. So I think they're at 3.35 now. So, and they have great help. So Orange has all kinds of help resources on their website. They also have a great YouTube channel where they work through very simple, basic examples. So I think they just did one. They just did one that they just released. Where'd it go? It could be a quick example. I'm only doing this because this is something I really believe in. Yeah. So here, a couple of these I haven't watched. So, so here they have done like little examples that show Orange Orange working on an actual type problem. So this video is like 5 minutes long, 6 minutes long. They're short, so the examples are pretty short. But PCA, you know, they have a great YouTube channel as well. So definitely check out Orange if you haven't played around with it. Okay. How are we doing on time here? Checking the chat. I think I'm caught up on the chat. So we're almost at an hour. So if you have any last few minute questions or comments, now is the time. Because once I answer a couple more, it's going to be an hour and then we'll be done. So now is the time to ask a question or comment before we sort of wrap this stuff up. So I am exploring ways to utilize AI tools with respect to data analysis. That's another side project I'm working on. If you haven't guessed, I'm a person who has like 17 side projects that I'm working on. That's just the way my life is. That's the way I've always been. It's both a blessing and a curse. But one of those projects is how to use sort of AI tools and LLMs, the GPT code interpreter, and other type of things to help with data science type projects. I think they're very beneficial. They can be very beneficial as an assistant, a sort of a co-worker or a support tool to supplement what you're already doing. I know in many cases I've asked it to give me a piece of code for something I needed it to do, and it was just wrong. So it's still iffy with some of these sorts of things, but that's sort of one of the things I'm working on as well, in addition to the other 17 things that I'm working on and learning about. So, all right. Well, I don't see any other new comments or new questions coming along in the chat. So I think we'll probably go ahead and end this. I will say, probably, look at the calendar here. Yeah, probably the next live stream will be September 9th, in 3 weeks from today, because September 2nd here in the US is a long holiday. So I will take advantage of the long holiday, get some rest, and, everyone needs to take care of themselves. So the next live stream will probably be the 9th. And then we'll do every 2 weeks up until I go to Switzerland. All right. Okay, here. Dun, da, da, dun, da, da. So Franco asked, what do you think about Weka? I've heard of Weka, but I've not used it. I've not used it myself. So most of the things that I explore and use are things that I come across either in my day job, just through trade, books, and courses that I take and stuff like that. And I've never had any of those ever use Weka before. So I've heard of it, but I have not used it, so I can't really speak to that, Franco, unfortunately. Honestly, when it comes to software and stuff, I try to stick to the major ones. Excel, which is not really data analysis, I know. Python and R, or anything that runs on top of those. So Orange runs on top of Python. Underneath, it's just Python, but it's a visual way of working with Python. And I think that's the way everything is going, right? Everything's going towards whatever is ubiquitous, which would include Excel, Google Sheets, and then open source stuff, R and Python. And I think Python never went away. But I think Python's going to have a huge resurgence, if it's not already, going to have a huge resurgence because all the LLM stuff, all the language models are run on Python. So all this stuff runs basically on Python. So if I were to, I used to be ambivalent about R and Python, but I'm really thinking now that if people are going to learn one or the other, Python is by far the way to go now because of the emergence of these AI tools that almost all run on top of Python. And Orange runs on top of Python. And that seems to be the way everything is sort of going. All right. And that includes me. I've played around with Python over the years, just kind of do a project here, project there, blah, 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 but never really sat down to learn Python properly. So right now I'm doing like a 27-hour course on Python. So that's my 2 cents on those sorts of things, right? Also, I use Python now as well because I can use my NVIDIA GPU. That's part of it too. I can just say, CUDA, and it runs full bore. So that's another reason to use Python if you have a good GPU, which I do. All right. Well, good. It was great seeing you all after a month. Like I said, we'll be back in 3 weeks on the 9th of September for the next live stream because the previous weekend is a holiday here in the U.S., Labor Day. And I'm going to enjoy Labor Day. And then we'll get back to a regular sort of schedule, except when I'm out of the country, when I'm on vacation or whatever else. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up, but I thank all of you all for supporting the channel, supporting me. It means so much to me for you all to stop by the chat and to keep supporting the channel. Please share the channel, like I said, with people who need it this semester for class or anyone you know. It really, really helps. And we will continue on this learning journey together. That I can guarantee you. So have a wonderful weekend wherever you are in the world. And I wish you all the best. Until next time. Take care. Bye-bye.